that's what was happening with me. I was depressed. I was like, me echo más. Boom, boom, boom. Problem solved. It's gone. But no, the problem got worse. And so with meditation and clearing your mind and all of that, that's what we have to do.
This is the True Hustle Podcast with your host, JR.
This is the True Hustle Podcast with your host, JR.
True Hustle Podcast. We have Gilberto Marquez in the house. What's up, brother?
Hey, ¿cómo estás, man?
I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Super excited.
Well, I'm glad you're here, man. It's funny how we met, right?
Yeah. Just randomly at Tepito at Homie to Homie.
Yeah.
This event that is for bringing community together and offer a bit of healing and also connection is what I got from it. But just randomly, I was getting some pan dulce for my wife.
No way.
Yeah, I was just gonna get some pan dulce, bring it back home after the event. And I heard you and Jose having a conversation about some deep stuff that really, really piqued my interest. So I kind of like, hey, what are you fools doing? Like just got closer. And,
can I just join?
Yeah.
And we were receptive. We were like, come on, man.
The circle wasn't closed. It was open.
And we were welcoming.
Yeah.
And I think Jose brings up some powerful ass points.
He does.
That are capturing. Did you see me? I was just like,
yeah.
Damn, do I really know my history as much as they do?
Yeah. And a lot of it is just, a lot of it is in our blood. The history and the teachings. Our people weren't necessarily, we didn't have the means of doing communication in this sort of way of recording it, but a lot of it was verbal, and what he was doing was exercising that. So that's pretty cool.
It was, and I don't think I ever been a part of an event like that. Yeah. Where it was just really like, there was a lot of love in that room.
Yeah.
Aside from coffee, there was a lot of love, and I was like, oh man, this is a great experience.
Everybody's gonna get all jacked up like
on the
coffee, like, but no, it was good.
I drank 2 of them. I was bouncing off the walls.
You walked home.
That coffee's really good, bro.
Yeah.
That coffee's really good.
Yeah, they do good stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we spoke about some things. I'm sure we're gonna dive into that later, but I want to know, like, where do you come from? Like, I know you said, because I was watching all your stuff, because you had some pretty cool hats, and we're gonna get into that later too. Where did you grow up at?
So my family is from Mexico. My father was from Sonora.
Okay.
And my mom from Jalisco. From Yahualica, Jalisco. My father from San Luis Rio Colorado. And I was born in California, in Southern California, in Anaheim, where my parents met. And raised there, but I didn't stay there. I kind of bounced around to different places. But for most of my youth, Anaheim and North Orange County.
Okay. You say you're from Yahualica?
My family from Yahualica.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, donde se dan los chiles serranos.
My cuñado, his family is from Yahualica.
Yeah.
And they go there every year.
Yeah.
Se apellidan Jimenez también.
I haven't been to Yahualica. I've been to Jalisco. I've been to Tequila and Guadalajara. But most of my time going to Mexico was probably Sonora and Oaxaca.
Yeah, we're from...
Unfortunately, I'd love to go to Oaxaca, or to Jalisco more.
I'm from Zacualco de Torres, which is in Jalisco, which is like 45 minutes from what's it called, Guadalajara.
Órale, yeah.
So, and we're not far from Tequila.
Yeah. It's a beautiful town.
Yeah.
Beautiful town.
I was just there. I went to the soccer game.
Yeah.
America Chivas over there.
Sometimes I talk to my wife, and I was like, why don't we move to Mexico? And she's like, well, how are we going to, like, it's kind of boggles the mind for someone who has it. My wife's from Puebla.
Okay.
And she immigrated when she was, I think, 8 years old, something like that. 10 years old. Very, very young. And grew up in New York. So hasn't really experienced the lifestyle of living in Mexico. And so I sometimes say, let's move to Mexico, because I travel there often. And it's kind of like, no, like, and it's like, no, just forget about what you remember. Mexico is, because it's so tough for people to visualize something so different, like growing up in your town where you're from, coming back 10 years later. Isn't it so much different?
Big time.
Yeah, so maybe she's remembering some of the things that she didn't really love. But it's one of those things with experience. I think you kind of with experience of travel, you kind of realize that you can live basically anywhere you want in the world, and earn a living and be good. We kind of tie ourselves down to a place where we're from. So I guess what I'm trying to say.
And I think for her, coming from New York, that is like a crazy town, right? Like in terms of it's so congested, and then like coming down here and then going, and then having that idea like, let's move to Mexico. It's like completely different.
Yeah, she's from Atlisco in Puebla. And I guess at the time it was very small, and I guess it's grown a lot, obviously. So it's hard to wrap your head around, you know.
Yeah, everything's slow pace over there, right? Like, from my experience, because we're from a small pueblo. Yeah. Shout out to all my cousins, todos mis primos, because they watch me over there. Hey, primos, primas. So it's just completely different. Everything's slow pace, and everybody's chilling. Essentially, like, I mean, at least from our pueblo, and then over here, everything's just like on a go.
I think the abnormality in pace is the United States versus the rest of the world. I feel like you can go to France or Italy and have that same sort of pace, that slower pace, and over here everything's so energetic, and so everything has to be done as quick as possible. I mean, you go to a restaurant and you sit down, you ask for la cuenta, and it's like, it takes a little bit longer than it would in the United States. Yeah. But I think that's a beautiful thing about stepping away for a second.
You think it makes you appreciate things a little bit more, or like, or
it can make you appreciate things more, and it could also make you stir crazy and want to live outside for a while or for the rest of your life. It depends. It depends on what mood you're in. It's like duality and everything. So sometimes you're like, I've had it. I want to leave. I want something a little slower. And sometimes you're like, I'm glad to be back.
You're right.
Yeah.
I actually agree with that. Like, because it depends.
Yeah.
Because this lifestyle here could be overwhelming, right?
Yeah. Trying to make ends meet, trying to feed a family, and if you're a hustler, it can be overwhelming. But you have to just have stamina. You have to have stamina.
And a lot of meditation.
A lot of meditation.
You know, big time, for real.
Yeah. Meditation has helped me out so much in life. The practice of mindfulness, the practice of grabbing a glass of water and feeling it go in, feeling it go into your body and do what it's supposed to do. Knowing that your heart is constantly beating, even though you're asleep, your body is working. It's all unconscious. So when we try to control situations and being in control of life is when we find most difficulty, I think. They say that, being very rigid is bad because you'll break. You know, some of the strongest things are like water, which is flowing. And what's super rigid? A dead tree, something that's dead, you know. So to be alive is to be, kind of flowing and kind of going with the flow, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And how did you, so are you first generation? Well, of course, you're first generation. So our values and the way we were raised as first generation, there was no such thing as meditating.
No.
There was no such thing as certain things that we do now. Yeah. How did you incorporate that into your lifestyle?
I feel like my father was maybe unknowingly very Zen and almost like very, very Zen, very practice mindfulness. Lo que pase lo que pase, no hay pedo. You know, me vale madre. You know, it's a little bit more a rough way of saying it, but it's also this too will pass. This too shall pass. Pase lo que pase, me vale madre. You know,
los pinches viles.
¿Sabes qué? You know, And no, he was very much like that. It's like, people are going to get upset with you, maybe in certain situations, and or what am I saying? I think people are going to have opinions about you, and this goes for like social media. And people will have opinions about you, but as long as you're okay within yourself, who cares? And there are situations that you can't control. Sometimes you can't make your bills in time, but that too is gonna pass. Like there is a little bit of Zen in there in some of the old school teachings del rancho.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes I think people, especially on social media, they focus more on the opinions of others and what they're gonna say. This video came out this way, and it's just like, dude, you're human like everybody else.
Yeah, you were just saying that you're a perfectionist, and part of being a perfectionist is kind of caring what other people are thinking, and so letting go of that.
I had to, because if I didn't, then I was gonna go crazy.
Yeah,
with this social media stuff.
Yeah,
like I like things in a particular way, and everything has to be like this and like that. But I was extreme back then.
Yeah.
But when my daughter was born, I was like, okay, if I start OCD, like everything has to be clean, then I'm gonna make myself go nuts, because a kid is gonna do what a kid does. Like, I can't, So I was like, all right, I need to start letting shit go.
Yeah.
I'm still particular, but I'm still like not, because it'll drive me crazy. Especially, I'm active on social media. I got all these things going. Yeah, I don't think it would be healthy.
So no, it wouldn't. Social media is fast paced, and so imagine trying to be very, very, very perfectionist in posting. People are consuming fast, and a lot of times they're not hyper focusing on what they're consuming. So getting things out as they're happening, I feel is really, really good. And also, consistency is harder when you go through analysis paralysis. So you're
right.
paralyzed by the analyzing it, and that could be really, really tough. And I know folks like that are looking and I don't know about this portion, and I don't know about that, and maybe I should edit this video. Don't doubt yourself. Just put it out.
Just post it.
Yeah.
People are gonna get over it in like 10 seconds. Whether your hair wasn't on point, this wasn't on point, that wasn't on point.
Yeah.
Just post it.
Yeah. Literally just post it, because that's the rate of consumption now.
Yeah,
especially with social media. Exactly. Like, look how fast Fuerza Regida's putting out songs. They're putting out songs
like hotcakes.
Boom, 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 boom. So and that's the music industry too. Is you got to keep pumping them out. So
just keep going to be consistent. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about. So you grew up with both of your parents?
Yeah, I grew up with both of my parents. My father, my mom was she stay at home. She took care of the household, took care of us in a very sort of traditional lifestyle that we grew up in. Mm-hmm. And my father, la chingaba, siempre. He was always working. Unfortunately, he was there as much as he could be, but unfortunately, he was always working. He owned a construction company.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Oh, he was like working from like 7 to like 8.
Yeah. Yeah, he was. He was working literally all day. I would sit down on the front porch and just wait to hear his old fucked up truck come by. As soon as I heard that, I was like, "Oh, Dad's home! Fuck yeah!" Yeah. And so I took up sports. I think unconsciously to bond with him more. He was really into boxing, and I started boxing, and he was my coach. Right. And so we got to bond a lot, at our time at the gym.
No way. That's cool, man. So you were seeking that then, huh? You were like, okay, what can I do to spend more time with my dad?
Yeah, I think unconsciously I was. We all want a father figure. We all want a father in our life. I think, and I think sometimes we say, you know, oh, I don't need a dad. I know, you know, I've heard younger kids say that, and I think that's, you know, we're lying to ourselves. We need a father figure, definitely, and so that's what I did. I figured out, you know, this is what we have in common. Hay que literally echarle chingazos.
That's what's up. Yeah. Was he like a machista, like one of those, like, no. Well, like my dad, like.
Oh, is your dad machista?
Oh yeah, there's extremes. You know, I think there's the more passive Mexicans, and then the super macho. I think mine was a super macho. Like, damn, bro, relax.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like,
well, he was a very masculine man, and very much a provider. But in the negative term of machista, trying to control my mom, mm-hmm. or his approach to women didn't seem to me, in my experience, like a machista. He was more passive in that. He was more passive in that, and that was a great example. You know, he taught me the things that you always hear, you know, growing up. Is like, you never lay your hands on a woman, mm-hmm. and you know, just the way that you respect women in life. It was his approach in teaching us. So no, I didn't see him as a machista. He wasn't, in everybody in the world's eyes, the best person. He was in prison for most of his life until my sister was born. He was in San Quentin and Chino and all of the jails. Most of his life, like literally most of his life, he grew up in a household where he didn't have a father. He grew up in a household where his mother was not nurturing to him. And so, what do you expect? What do you expect is going to happen, you know, from someone kind of growing up in that situation? So he left to the United States, crossed the border, lived in Arizona, un cholito, kind of. Mm-hmm. Not really from anywhere, but a little troublemaker, and then got into the wrong things and ended up in prison. And in and out of prison his whole life, I remember some of my best Mexican food memories are waking up in the morning, my mom making chorizo con huevo, handmade tortillas, wrapping them up with foil, putting them in a plastic bag, and going to visit my dad in jail.
No way.
Yeah, so waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning and doing that, and yeah, so he wasn't there for my toddler and like really, really, really young life, but once I was in kindergarten, first grade, that's when he was kind of settled down. That's when my sister was born.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you really don't remember like the times that he was gone because you were so little? Or
yeah.
You do?
Yeah, I remember. I remember seeing different things. I remember visiting him in jail. Yeah, and some negative things, you know, in that. But for the most part, for most of his life, he became a born-again Christian. I feel like he was trying to make up for it and really be there, at least advice-wise, as much as possible.
Wow. So I think once he got into church, then he started changing a lot of things.
Yeah.
Then he said that he had been through a lot and he didn't have a dad.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that he was probably like wasn't trying to repeat that cycle.
We're trying to break the cycle. We're trying to get away from the negativity. My father went through a very, very negative, or had a very negative upbringing full of a lot of trauma. And he tried to get as far away from that as possible, though he still fell subject to a lot of the things that people in that type of environment fall. He was a drug addict, ended up in jail. And when he became born again, I know he realized, you know, we're not going to keep this going. We're going to try to make a better life. He wanted to make a better life for his family and make up for all of the things that he did. So in raising us, he instilled a lot of those things. But also a kid growing up the way I did, it wasn't all flowers and roses, or you know, it wasn't all positive. So I fell into some of the things too, but with generations, we start to get away from that negativity. I think that is the important thing. Half of the important thing is realizing that there's something going on here that we have to break.
So that you got into some little...
Yeah, no. So I would, you know, I had a lot of my friends were in gangs, and I never was in a gang, and was also grew up in like the punk rock scene, so there was drugs and stuff like that, and a lot of really, really negative roads I could have gone down, but luckily through that cloudiness, las enseñanzas de mi padre started to peek through, and it's like, nah, you know, stop hanging out with these friends, stop doing this. You know?
Did you think because of the things that he went through, you were like, man, I'm not trying to repeat that?
I think it was him just repeating his mantra into my head of, you know, there are no real friends. The best thing that you can have is money in your pocket and your family happy. Those things, don't trust everybody. Everybody that's in your circle is not your friend. Those things started to become more and more apparent with life experience. And so I was able to get away from those things.
Yeah, because essentially he was like, son, do not be so naive.
Yeah.
Because just because they say they're your friends,
yeah,
they're really not.
Well, no, people want to see you doing good, but they don't want you to see you doing better than them.
Damn. And I think there's a lot of truth in that.
Yeah, even family.
You think that's cultural though?
No.
No?
No. I see a lot of the worst enemy of a Mexican is another Mexican. I really don't feel like perpetuating that. I don't feel like it's a positive thing, and I don't feel that it's true. On those same posts, I see people, that's how it is, you know, we're Salvadorian, we're Guatemalan, same thing. I feel like it's the same thing in every culture, and in family.
Yeah.
People will see someone doing good and not necessarily want them to continue that, because misery loves company. No
matter what race it is, right?
No matter what race. So that's why when I see
the
you know, the crabs in a bucket and all of that, I guess there could be some truth to it, but it's all anecdotal. It's like, oh, well, it happened to me, so it's you know, but I don't speak for every Mexican. I don't speak for every Chicano. You know, it happened to me. They happen to be Mexican, but I don't think that that's a cultural thing. I think that that's human nature.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree, but I think that some of the experiences that, you know, we go through on our personal level, like us, I mean, like for me, it's like, damn, is it?
Yeah.
Is it pretty accurate that Latinos don't support each other? Or is it, or am I just making this up in my head? But maybe it's just one instance or one incident, and then you create this whole...
In society, we're all fighting for the crumbs on the table, and some people and some cultures historically have gotten less of that and fight a little bit harder. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Because I think, it's a great point. I mean, to bring up like the Jewish culture, right?
Yeah.
Like, I forgot who was mentioning Ivan on how they operate, and then like for a certain amount of money coming out of the community, then there's like a go around, like everybody has to approve.
If it's worth under, it goes around their community 7 times.
Yeah, in Oaxaca, there's colectivos and community things too, like taxes, where if you own a business, you have to participate in city doings of cleaning up the cemetery, cleaning up. Yeah, I think that we could learn from different cultures that have that sort of community-based, and there are in our culture too. There's colectivos. There's a lot of like know us without you. Tepito, what they're doing is pretty great. You know, it's may not necessarily be monetarily, but it is building a sort of connection where maybe we don't have money to spare, or maybe we're not making, you know, maybe we're not on the profit side of our business, but we have knowledge. Ivan was dropping a lot of knowledge for free.
And I think we do hear that a lot, right? That, oh, el peor enemigo de un mexicano es un mexicano. Latinos don't do this. Latinos don't do that. And we don't agree with it to some extent. So how do we combat people saying that? Or how do we, like, what's the solution to it?
Yeah,
Or,
let's be solution-based.
You know, like, let's create a solution, right? Okay, we say X, Y, and Z, but it's like, okay, it's been said many a times. I'm not the first one. You're not the first one. It's been said plenty of times. Okay, so what's the solution for this issue? Like, how do we support one another more? You know, like how do we? What should be the first step? I even said educating ourselves or each other. Mm-hmm. Like, what else do you feel that can be done?
Sometimes I'll hear younger kids have conversations and make side comments, negative side comments about their culture. And I stop them and I say, well, what do you think you are? Who do you think you are? This is you. Don't speak bad about yourself. Self-respect. Everything starts at home. So I have 2 nephews in their teens, and what I want to teach them is self-respect and appreciation for their culture. Mexican food is great.
It's amazing, bro.
Mexican culture. Ya me dio hambre. Mexican culture is amazing. It's so rich. Let's not perpetuate the negativity. Those things are apparent. There is raza that won't support you. What the motivation is, I don't know. But let's just brush that off and continue to move forward. What are we going to do? Sit back and worry about someone who doesn't support us? Or are we going to give attention to the people who are supporting us, who are also raza? Who gets the attention? On social media, do you look at your comments? Yeah. You see the good ones, you're like, oh yeah, I'm killing it. And then you see the negative one and you're like, what the fuck? You know? So giving oxygen to that negative fire is bad. Let's be positive and let's start at home.
Bars.
What'd I say?
It's true though.
Yeah.
Brush. You know, you're pretty active on social media, so am I.
Yeah.
You're 1,000% correct on what you just said. People pretend like it.
Like, we all say that we don't care.
You know,
last night I was looking at someone said something to me. I was like, este güey que no trabaja, está en la casa y no le está poniendo atención a su familia, ponte a chambear, cabrón. But at the same time, I'm scrolling past all the people who are saying nice things.
Because you're
what is it in my
zeroing down on that fucking idiot.
With me?
You know?
What's wrong with me?
I think we're prone to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're not alone.
No.
I do the same thing. And everybody lies that they don't, but they're full of it. But I think you're right. Just
it's like,
fucking focus on the ones that are showing you love.
It's like, I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks.
Until you read your comments, huh?
Yeah.
I told you about, it's like 7 a.m, some fool went in. Motherfucker went in on one of my guests. And
he wasn't busy.
You know, that motherfucker had nothing to do, right?
Yeah.
And then I feel like when my guests are attacked, then I feel like I'm getting attacked.
Yeah, because it's an extension of
you know, and I'm like, what the fuck?
So if someone attacks me, you better jump onto it.
I'll be like, but you're right. I commented back and I said some shit, and then you said something very, very crucial. Like, dude, don't give it any attention. If you give it oxygen, it's gonna get bigger. So then I just responded with a heart emoji.
A huevo.
Like, you know what? It's 7:30 in the morning, dog. Like, you're spreading so much hate. Like, damn, fool. Like, you need a hug?
A huevo.
It's how I processed it. Like, damn.
Si no te gusta lo que estoy haciendo, you have thumbs. Just keep scrolling.
Yeah.
Or if you need to comment, I'm going to comment back to you. Que Dios te bendiga. And have a good day.
Damn, I just feel sometimes, though, like, people take the time to write the craziest shit.
Well, it's like Yelp. We all go to restaurants. We go to restaurants we fucking love. Who are the people on Yelp blowing up a place, saying that this place is trash and and they didn't, you know. That's what it is. It's instantaneous.
I feel bad for some of these fucking restaurants too.
I remember. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
But I remember listening to an old episode of Howard Stern, old one, and the fax machine just came out. The fax machine just came out, and people started faxing their opinions right away. and he's like.
Hey, some of our listeners are not gonna know what a fax fucking machine is. They're gonna be like, "What is that?"
It's not a machine that tells the truth and things that are very accurate. But yeah, and so the response, the thing is instantaneous. To be able to, back then it was instantaneous, and then you email like, you know what, this is what your show was today, and this is what I feel. And now you got rid of all of that, all of those barriers. You just straight into the comment section. Instantly. And a lot of times fools are just like, boom, send it, and that's all the attention that they gave to it, and you're over here like, the fuck is this fool talking about? Like trying to decipher.
Mean? Did he mean it in this way or that way?
Yeah.
Oh my god, maybe I need to reassess. I'm like, man, that fool was probably drunk.
That's happened.
That fool was probably drunk and say, fuck this is whack.
I've had people tell me, you know what, I was probably buzzed last night. But yeah, they probably, you know, that happens. But so we talked about meditation as we first started, and yogis. I listen to some yogis sometimes, and some gurus and people that talk about practicing mindfulness. Alan Watts. Sadhguru, and Sadhguru is pretty legit on some things.
Okay.
He says, what happens when you have diarrhea? What's the first thing that you do? Apart from the obvious.
Okay, I'll say the obvious. Well, you kind of go take a lot of shits.
You stop eating and consuming the thing that gave you diarrhea in the first place. Negative thoughts are coming because you're feeding your brain negativity. Stop it.
As simple as that sometimes, right?
Yeah.
But I think that we give things that don't matter a lot of power.
Yeah.
Irrelevant shit.
Yeah. Yo con que my family's good, que no les falte nada, I'm happy. And anything else is entertainment, I guess.
Yeah. I think family's first.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, that's you know, how do we change the generation? Just think about our family. Just be there for them.
Teach them those morals, those values.
Yeah.
Because you're right. It does start at home.
Mm-hmm. Because
the majority, it does. Because I think everything's learned behavior as you're growing up. Mm-hmm. You know, like I'm sure that you've seen your dad and you wanted to be like your dad. Mm-hmm. You know, just like me.
He had more tattoos than me.
You know?
Now I fucking regret.
Dude, my dad had no tattoos, and I'm fucking
You're
know?
blasted.
You know? So, but yeah, it starts at home.
It does. 100%. Everything. Life starts at home. Your day starts at home. And just making sure that you tend to your own garden is really important. Because, you know, ahí andamos de mitoteros, ahí viendo los comentarios. At the same time, it's like, it's so ridiculous.
I just think at the end of the day, you know what's associated with social media.
Mm-hmm.
You know what comes with it.
That's the price of entry.
Dog.
Yeah.
It took me by surprise, you know, but I'm just like, because, you know, at the beginning, you're like, what, fool? I'm not fucking, meet me at fucking, you know, like.
Drop the Addy.
You know?
Nah. Yeah, things could, and then you see like how things can get so out of hand out of something that wasn't very important in the first place.
Yeah.
Before social media.
Yeah.
Some shoes. But so what was the because you're like, it hit me. Like, what's the first moment that you saw something and you're like, what the fuck? Why are people hating?
I think it didn't have anything to do with me. It had to do with one of my guests, one of the first ones, and they were just like, I don't want to put them on. They were
Put 'em on blast.
talking
I'm
shit
kidding.
about like, hey, fuck this food. This shit is fucking horrible. And I'm just reading it like, God damn, like so and so, and he did this, and I'm like, damn, bro. That was the first hateful one.
Yeah.
I was like, God damn, that was like 7 a.m, man.
Yeah. 7 a.m.
7 a.m, bro. I'm leaving the gym.
Yeah.
And then it's all perspective, right? So then I'm like, I did comment, and then I stopped myself.
Yeah.
Because perspective was, I don't know what that person's going through. Yeah. Obviously, something's happening there, bro. That you're going to just aim all your anger at this post. Like, damn. So I just, you know, my approach now is I kill him with kindness.
Yeah.
Hey, I love you, brother.
You
what the fuck? You love me? You know,
Yeah.
like, what? Brother, blessings.
Yeah.
I don't know what. People don't know how to act to fucking people be nice.
Yeah. Well, that's what they probably need.
Yeah. I think when people are being so hateful, is you need to like, well, for me, I'm like, damn, I wonder what this person's going through.
Probably having a bad day.
Yeah. A shitty ass day. Something's going on there that he has to just go ham on somebody that he doesn't even know.
Yeah.
So, you know what? I'll pray for you, man.
Yeah.
I'll pray for you, and God bless. I'm going to have a fucking great day. Fuck your comment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
you got to throw it in.
yeah, I mean, like,
Fucking comment.
dude, like, even though I had nothing to do with me, but I still kind of took it kind of personal. But the key to people that are trying to build their brand, build their social media presence, and just become like a real marketing expert. I don't want to say expert. A marketing person online. There's a lot that comes with it, and you're going to have to deal with it. But deal with it accordingly, you know? So what? They're going to say, people are always going to have an opinion. No matter if it's good, no matter if it's bad, so care less. So what? If your family is good, your business is good, and your faith and everything's intact,
Nothing can touch you.
what? Like what? Like what could really fuck up your day? You get to go home every day to your beautiful family. You get to work and do what you really enjoy doing. Well, the majority of us. But even like, dude, life is great. So don't let somebody go in there and fucking fuck up your shit.
Yeah. No, that is the most truthful thing is they're probably going through some shit.
Yeah.
If they're sitting there, and then the amount of effort that it takes to create a fake account with an anonymous thing, and then say something semi-personal where I'm sure this person's been following me on a different account, created another account to do this. So odd behavior.
But it takes a lot of effort. If you're going to put that much effort to go shit on somebody, why don't you put effort on healing yourself? It's like, it's going to take the same amount of time.
Yeah, sometimes less.
Like, whatever it is that's wrong with you, people need to understand that everybody goes through shit. We have the same emotions. Of course, others deal with it differently. But I'm saying, whatever it is that you might think that you're going through, either talk to somebody, come up with a solution. I mean, we have the answers to all of our problems. I mean, it's easier said than done sometimes, right? You know?
You have to look inside to heal. All of this out here doesn't matter. When people maybe get imprisoned, they are stuck in a cell, but inside of their mind, they can still control. When someone can control how you feel inside of your mind through a comment or whatever situation, isn't that the worst imprisonment?
Yeah.
Being a slave to your own negative thoughts. There's a way of getting out of any situation with positivity. No one can control your brain except you.
And your thoughts could become your worst enemy, right?
Yeah.
And then you start making shit up in your mind, like, dog, it's really not that serious, dog. Like, you start overthinking shit, and you come up with a fucking whole novella and scenario in your brain, like, I mean, in your mind, like.
Doesn't that happens like when you're a kid with your relationships and stuff, you know, that all of that paranoia. It's like, oh, she's not answering the phone. She's probably doing this. She's probably doing that. Yeah, and you know, now as an adult, that happens with business. That happens with everything. You always try to like reinterpret what someone said, and sometimes what they said is just like they say, I said what I said. That's it. That's all it is.
Yeah, but we formulate shit in our minds, and we make up this whole fucking story. Like, dude, that's not even. That person could care less. He said what he said, and he walked away, and you're over here fucking making up fucking a whole novella.
Yeah.
In your brain.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So talk to me about Pachuco Supply. What inspired that?
So Pachuko Supply is my business that I started with my wife and my cousin, really good close cousin of mine, the ones that were always hanging out together.
Okay, cool.
We were always thinking about a business. What should we do? I was living in New York, and my wife and I had a small apartment in Brooklyn, and I started bringing home like these old hats that I found in Oaxaca in Mexico. Started reworking them, and one day I called up my primo. I was like, "Hey, I have an idea for a business. Let's start a hat company." He's like, "What?" And we did. We started making hats in my garage, and little by little it started growing. The inspiration behind it was I always wore a hat. I was always a hat guy. You know, whether it was a tejana, a fedora, didn't matter what it was. Never a baseball cap necessarily, because I just didn't like the way it feels. Like I wanted something a little bit heavier, a little bigger, and so I always wore a hat. And I started on social media getting recognized for having a hat all the time, and that was kind of a natural transition to a craft that I really admired. I saw some behind the scenes of how hats are made, and I'm like, you know what? I think I can do that. And I was itching for some creativity. I was living in New York, and New York for me was so far from the Southwest that I needed that Southwest energy. That there's something about it. cosmic. Oh no, not cosmically. In nature, in the dirt, there's something in the soil that inspires me, yeah, about the Southwest, and I was yearning for something, some sort of outlet of creativity. So I started bringing those hats home and reworking them in New York, and then when we moved back to California, we started building these hats in our garage, and little by little, you know, after setting up a tripod and saying, oh, I'm making some hats, you know, these are the designs, not really being really clear about whether they're for sale or whatever it was. And just interest started building, and people started sending us DMs. Hey, where do you sell these hats? I want to buy one. Y yo así como muy paciente, like, just let's not sell anything. Let's just keep it going. Let's keep building demand and interest. And then we started selling. We sold our first hat, and I was nervous. My wife and I were packing it up. My cousin was helping us, you know, figure out the packing, and we just didn't really know what we were doing, but we sold it. And I actually ran into the person who bought our first hat. He's like, I still have it. I love it. But it's one of those things of not letting your brain consume what's actually the situation. A lot of times when people start a small business, they're trying to wait for everything to be perfect. Before they post, they're trying to get the post super perfect, and you just can't wait. We have to act like there's no tomorrow, like you know, we could die tomorrow. So let's just do everything we can today. I always say everything you do today is going to affect you in 5 years, you know, if you're lucky enough to live that long. So we're like, fuck it, let's start selling them. Let's start telling our story. We did. And before you know it, we had Madonna's stylist hitting us up for a hat.
No.
Yeah, and I was like, oh shit, so okay, so this is a thing then, huh?
No, it's working.
Yeah, it's working. And then, but it worked because there was no confusion in who we were. You know, this is very, very specific to who we are, and so a lot of the designs are very personal to me, and so that sort of specificity becomes universal.
Wow.
There's nothing worse than like looking at someone's brand and you see like they're trying to appeal to this, to that, to that, to that. So, just be real.
Be real and be intentional, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the reason why you guys moved from New York back to California? Yeah,
it was. There was no sure reason why we had to move back to California other than I wanted to be closer to my partner, my cousin, who was living in California. And I also I miss my mom. I miss my family. I miss that connection. I miss that creative spark that I wasn't getting in New York. We were talking about negativity. My light was extinguished. I was drinking too much. You know, I was around drugs and maybe partook. And it was killing me. I was depressed deeply. I have photos. I look back at those photos and I was like, who was that fool? That fool wasn't me. And there was something, I hit up a Yaqui Indian elder, Yaqui brother. And I said, I need good medicine. I don't have good medicine right now. I was living in New York when I hit him up. It's like, I need a sweat. I need, danza. I need something. I didn't know what it was. And it was that creativity that helped me get out of my funk and recenter simultaneously while I was making hats. And still drinking too much and still not in a good place, but the hats became a little bit of therapy. And then I found meditation, and that helped me. And it's like drugs and alcohol, overconsumption, you have your tequilita, your mezcal, at a party, and you have a good time, or you go out on a date, you have a glass of wine, lo que sea, all good. But when te estás metiendo de todo, it's really, really difficult to know what's going on in your brain. I tell people who who smoke a lot of weed, who are also kind of like going through anxiety and depression. When we consume a substance, and I'm not, like this hardcore straight edge, like sober guy, but I also know that when we're not good, it's like going out and partying when you're broke, so you don't do it, or you shouldn't. You should probably like refocus. Okay, this is how I do to get out of this situation. When you're consuming drugs and alcohol, when your mind is not right, it's like you hear a noise on your car. There's a rattling. And you're like, fuck it, le subas al radio. So you're not paying attention to your body. So that's what was happening with me. I was depressed. I was like, me echo más. Boom, boom, boom. Problem solved. It's gone. But no, the problem got worse. And so with meditation and clearing your mind and all of that, that's what we have to do.
What got you in that dark place? What do you feel was that trigger, or what landed you there?
My father passed away. And he was everything. And it was one of those things that I didn't deal with. I didn't let myself mourn. The day we buried him, I went to my job. I was bartending, opened up the bar, a la verga, started cleaning, started serving people, was drinking. I didn't deal with it. And one day I look up, I'm like, I'm not good. It hit me like a ton of bricks. I was on a plane, travel a lot, crying on a plane, listening to a song. And I'm like, I'm not good. This is not good. And I attribute that to not dealing with my mental issue, not taking the time to mourn, pushing it to the side. And then eventually, boom, pinche putazo que me dio, of depression, guilt, all of these things. But that's what happens. We don't just pause all the shit that's not important and deal with what you need to deal with.
Why do you think that we as I don't want to say as men or Latinos, just in general,
Both?
Like why do you feel that we always choose to just push it to the side and not deal with shit head on? It's like as if going back to work and you preoccupying your mind, it's going to erase what just happened.
Because it hurts. Because it hurts too bad to sit there and accept the feelings. And we don't like to do that. We don't like to deal with emotion. Sometimes my nephews, I look at them, they're tall, big fools. Already con una barba. They have more facial hair than me. And I look at them, I was like, they don't have men like come up to them and hug them and say, I love you, like everything's going to be okay, or I'm going to be here for you no matter what. That like those type of things that we kind of grow up around, of that lack thereof of, certain nurturing, forces us to build a callus to not deal with negative and negativity. Yo no quiero escuchar de esas chingaderas, like I just want, I'm going to go to work. Yeah. That's the attitude that you have.
Yeah.
No tengo tiempo para esta. I do that sometimes. I'm like,
Rushing.
no tengo tiempo para estas chingaderas. I do that in my mind. I'm like, no, fool. Calm the fuck down. Take a breath. And deal with it.
We all do that.
Yeah.
¿Sabes qué?
Yeah.
No me andes con pendejadas. Ahorita no tengo ganas de escuchar fucking this and that.
We're always like, no andes con pendejadas,
And
but
then,
we're
like,
the ones with the pendejadas.
Yeah, and then we fucking get in the car and start driving like, damn, fool, I fucked up. I shouldn't have said that. I should have handled it differently.
Yeah.
But at least we allow ourselves
some fools double down and keep it going.
And that's when it becomes a problem.
That's a problem. Que no me andes acusando, de esas mamadas, whatever it is.
So during that moment, your father passed,
Yeah.
and you fell into,
A rough life.
it was difficult, and you were not in California, you were in New York. What got you over the hump?
Meditation, being good with my wife, fixing the rough patch that we had, and the birth of my daughter. My daughter, she doesn't know, but one day I'll explain it to her. Saved my life completely, and helped me clear the cobwebs in my brain. I have a tattoo on my chest of a brain in a jar with like the solution that they put, like an organ in. And people don't really know, like, why does this fool have that tattoo? I felt like my brain was in a jar, like I was like so like clouded with bullshit. And meditation, being good with my family, and my daughter being born cleared all of that.
It gave you clarity.
Yeah.
That's why clarity to me is one of the biggest reasons why I don't drink.
Yeah.
I might have one here and there,
Todo tiene su momento.
but it's like this guy sometimes like, hey, let's just have one.
Hey, let's just do a Jaeger bomb.
Like, fuck it, thug life. Like,
Thug life.
YOLO. Like, what the fuck? I got an appointment tomorrow, dog. Like, I can't do that shit. So,
This was a YOLO.
but I need clarity. My business, everything that I have going is my family. Everything is way more important than getting plastered and I need to have clarity. That to me is like
the most valuable thing that you can have.
yes. It's like a game changer.
Yeah.
But not just in business, in every aspect. Because I think clarity allows you to grow, allows you to be like the best version of yourself, allows you to love a little bit more. It allows you to be a better son, a better brother, a better dad, a better everything. So clarity to me is like important.
Yeah.
So
And discipline too,
absolutely.
because it takes discipline and planning. A veces, like, I'm at home, ay, que si me echo un gallito, And then I'm like, oh, you're gonna be that fool who tells your nephews don't smoke, and you're in the back. I'm in the back, like smoking. Que ridículo, So nah, mejor no.
You said something very important. I think discipline is a foundation to everything.
Yeah.
Because you require to be disciplined and have that self-control to do things when you don't want to do them.
Yeah.
Or say no to that drink when you have something important to do. Or not smoke that joint because you're trying to be a good uncle. You're trying to be a good role model to people.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and sometimes we realize that later in life, and I have the sometimes the thought in my mind of I wish people knew who I really was, and because sometimes in those moments when you were drinking and out, and partying, you met people and they think you're this person. And it might not have been a negative interaction. It might have been like, oh, had the time of our life. That guy's the homie. And then you meet them like 5 years later, and they're like, hey, what's up, man? Oh, watch out with this guy. We're gonna have
Jaeger bombs.
Yeah, Jaeger bombs, fireball. put it in my eyes. And you're like, no. Unfortunately, you don't know me because that wasn't you, or it wasn't me. That person that they met was slightly lubricated. Well, that's not me.
You want to hear a fun fact?
Yeah.
I'm that guy. I don't ever want to portray this. I've always been business and clarity and this and that. Bro, I partied a lot. Like a lot.
Yeah.
And I still have my friends that, they're like, what happened? Well, it tastes so good, like, what do you mean you're not drinking? I'm like, what? I gotta get up at 4:50 to, do my schedule, like, no, I can't. And they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I remember back then, fool.
All of a sudden, this fool right here, you don't want to drink. Is that sober fool?
So,
yeah, right.
and I get that a lot, but I'm like, I think a man evolves and there's phases. For me, I went through a lot of phases in my life. Mm-hmm. I was the troublemaker, in high school, and I've been drinking since I was 13 years old. Mm-hmm. So I had that. I don't want to say it was substance abuse.
Yeah, of course it is.
Since so I grew up with all my friends. We grew up like that, drinking and drinking and drinking, but there's a point where you're gonna have to like grow the fuck up. I made a lot of mistakes, and I think I attribute it to, alcohol. Yeah. Like, oh man, it's nothing good when you're fucking getting that plastered. Nothing good is gonna come out of this shit.
No, what could possibly go right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I just think that I went through phases in my life that now I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
I'm good. And I think the people that know me from back then, they're like, get the fuck out of here, dog. Bullshit. This fool, this I see this motherfucker drink a whole bottle by himself. Like, yeah, but I was 20.
MD 2020.
Like, I'm 40. Like, dog, like, there's, so.
You drink 8 locals.
Yeah, so back to what you were saying, yeah, I just.
We have to allow ourselves to change and evolve, and unfortunately, you can't take back the past, but it is a practice of self-control and moderation. It's a practice. Well, what happens when you practice? Sometimes you fuck up. But allow yourself to, you don't throw it all away because I got drunk last night or whatever. No, it's a practice. You just keep trying.
I think I feel guilty.
That's vodka in there?
That's why. I feel guilty when I drink sometimes.
Oh, I thought you meant like right now.
No, not right now. No drinking and recording. Shit, it'll be all bad. Yeah. So,
you feel guilty when
I feel guilty.
It's like when you go to the gym and you eat a hamburger.
Yes.
You're like, fuck, like I fucked up.
Like, for example, not pointing fingers.
Yeah.
We went to a comedy show and he orders a beer.
Yeah. Well, it's a 2-drink minimum when you go to a comedy show.
Yeah, but I'll drink 2 sodas.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So, so.
I was testing you.
And I fucking failed, and then it's been like 6 months. I hadn't had nothing. Mm-hmm. So then I'm like, okay, well, my friends are performing. All right, it's fucking Bernie. All right. I had 1 whiskey. I went home like, man, why?
I had 1 drink.
Did you wake up with a hangover?
I woke up not feeling like how I feel.
Yeah.
So then the guilt kicked in. Like, see, who the fuck told you to go drink? You were perfectly fine, dog. There was no need for this. No pointing no fingers.
Yeah.
Like, dog. I was like,
I had a beer. You had whiskey.
And I raise you.
So I just, but practice, right?
Yeah.
To me, if I could be sober, well then that's my goal though. to be
as sober as possible.
99.9% of the time.
Yeah.
You know? So, well, speaking of alcohol.
Yeah. Our
You
sponsors. Damn, imagine.
I want to shout out our sponsors. Drink this excessively.
Yeah. Only this though.
That shit would have been funny. It would have been funny. Like, well, our sponsor, vodka.
Yeah. It's 1,000 proof whiskey.
Or
Non-alcoholic
no, O'Doul's. I could order on O'Doul's. But then it's like, well, for what? I'd rather drink a soda.
Yeah, it's not like it tastes good.
Yeah, it tastes disgusting. So,
Yeah. Non-alcoholic cocktails though are bomb.
really?
Have you had those?
No.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, mocktails.
Well, I'm going to have one next
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
You have, what is it called? That mezcal that you
Yeah.
associate. Is that your guys' brand or are you associated with it? Or?
Yeah, I'm the global ambassador for Ilegal Mezcal, and so that's part of it. And part of the teachings that they tell you in mezcal is que el mezcal se defiende. You know, it comes from a plant, from an agave, that has thorns on it. So the plant from birth is defending itself, and then when you cut the agave, it excretes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it does. It excretes a sort of like some sort of juice, like agave juice, and that gives you like
Yes.
it makes you break out if you touch it on your it touches your skin. So it's
No
defending
way.
itself as you're cutting it, as you're cutting the agave, and then you consume it. And if you consume too much, it defends itself, especially if not that night, the next day. So it's one of these spirits that they say, el mezcal se toma poco a poco y a besitos. Yeah, and it's a medicine. It's a ritual of having fun with your friends. So you don't have to. I learned this the hard way because I would. Drink a whole bunch, but you don't have to do that.
We're all guilty of that.
Yeah, but you don't have to do that to have a good time. And also, the intention of opening up a nice bottle of mezcal. You pour it for yourself and for your friends, and make sure everybody's having a good time, and that's what it's about. That's truly what it's about. And kid in a candy store, you start doing something young, and you're like, yeah, this is pretty cool. My job is to drink. And it's like, no, it's about spreading knowledge about this beautiful spirit and this culture. That's what your job is.
And how did you get associated with that?
Just through social media. I was on social media making cocktails and consulting for Mexican restaurants and doing that whole thing. Beverage programs and
Because you were a bartender.
bartender. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we didn't even touch on that. So how was that?
Bartending,
Yeah.
it was intense. It was intense, and because sometimes I wish I could go back to bartending. Ay, ando viejo. my back hurts. I can't do all that. Respect to everybody who's bartending. I was young. And moving fast, and didn't realize that this party that's going on, not for me. This is for me to serve everybody and make sure they're having a good time. And I was drinking shots with people and like that whole thing. So unfortunately, those are life experiences that you may not necessarily be able to go back and try to give it another try. Mm-hmm. But I always tell one of my homies who's also was a bartender for a long time, and I'm like, man, don't you wish we could just go back and like crush it? Because like we would not drink during our shift. We would count the money correctly at the end of the night. The bar would be making so much more money. But yeah, bartending was crazy. It's a tough industry to be in.
So what's it called?
The restaurant industry in general is a tough one to be in.
Really?
Yeah, because it's so demanding.
But you would get really like fucked up?
Well, I guess you don't feel it because you're like you're moving, right? You're moving, And so there's always the opportunity of that. And then depending on what sort of environment you're in, like if you're working at a rock and roll bar where no one really cares or no one's really watching you, maybe, or if you're at a fine dining, you're bartending at a fine dining restaurant, like maybe never, that would never happen. But no, yeah, there's opportunity. De todo un poco.
Yeah, because I'm sure you had those customers and like, hey, take a shot with me.
100%. Yeah.
And then you're going to be like, no. You're like, oh, if I say yes,
that was later on.
He might give me a good tip. Like,
there was later on in my career of bartending, I would have a bottle of water back there. And then that's smart. Cheers.
That's a pretty nice hat.
Yeah.
Where do you get the materials from? Are they from here or are they imported from Mexico?
No, they're not imported from Mexico. They're actually, some of them are from the United States, depending on what the material is, and some of the material is from Europe, Eastern Europe, and actually some of the straws are from Ecuador, and hand woven in Ecuador. Yeah, I haven't met a producer of felts in Mexico. I know there are, but I haven't met them to be able to. A lot of things when you do business in Mexico, in my experience is when you work with the artesano, a lot of things are like face-to-face and handshake, and I haven't had the opportunity of meeting someone who, but maybe through this podcast I'll meet someone who produces felts in Mexico. I know that there's someone in Puebla who makes felts, but no, unfortunately now some from the United States. And the thing is that the hands that make them. So with a lot of cultural respect, we're making these hats. So yeah, it could be a Mexican hat or a Chicano hat, or however you choose to.
How difficult is it to make it?
It's a lot of work. A hat. Right now, the queue is, or the wait list is anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks for someone to get a custom hat. And for me to produce it, it's like a 2-week process, minimally.
No way.
Yeah, and so I design most of the hats. Some of them are inspired by other things, and my wife helps, my cousin helps with that, but we all have our own little sections of production. I do most of the design work and a lot of the ideation and the creation of what the collection's going to be. Creative director is basically the role. And my wife is a pyrography artist. She engraves the hats with different designs. And my primo is actually a sculptor, and he kind of I ask him to look over the hat like the final time and just make sure that the creases are, because he's a sculptor and has the patience to make sure that the vision is exactly what the hat looks like. And so yeah, a lot of hands touch it. Actually, my nephews I've mentioned before are helping too with hat production, blocking the hats and cutting them and making sweatbands and just different things that I can get them involved with.
That's dope.
Yeah. So truly just family.
What vision do you have for the True Hustle podcast hat that we're gonna get into?
Yeah, so we were talking about doing a Tana.
I have to have, and I'm gonna get my uncle size.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna send one
Órale.
to Mexico.
Yeah, let's do it.
So like, how would you start that creative design for it?
So every hat that we make is a collaboration between us and the client. So you mentioned that you like Tejana, and so automatically I think something like this. There's so many different types of hats, sombrero vaquero, Tejana, whatever you want to call it. There's so many different shapes, but this one for me is what I would say is for someone who's kind of new to wearing a Tejana. The brim isn't so turned up how you would see some of the other more traditional ones or more common ones.
Now that you do that, now I see.
Yeah. So this one is more like that. This is kind of like a northern, like almost like Sonora. I see some people wearing their hats that way, kind of more open. And then this is a copa alta. I would say something like that. You have facial hair. And from there, then we're going to brand on the logo, I think, which my wife will take care of. She'll make a rendering of that. And it's exactly like tattooing. You know, you can't get a second pass. So there's no mistakes involved in that. So
Kind of like that one.
yeah.
So my uncle, he's an experienced like Tejana, like so his will be different.
Yeah. And that's
that's all he wears.
That's for me the biggest challenge of like getting someone who's been wearing Tejanas their whole life coming in and trying one on, because then you know, like they know what they're talking about. And so probably wearing Tejanas longer than I've been making hats. And so that authenticity in the way that we make them, the old school techniques, and really paying attention to tradition, but also doing something modern. And then once I finally put the hat on their head and they're like, I love it, te aventaste.
I'm gonna have to do some content with it.
Let's
I
do it.
always, have beautiful hair, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So I never try to cover it.
Yeah.
But once I have it, then I get comfortable with it.
It's okay to have a beautiful mane and cover it with a hat. That's fine.
I don't have to, So,
Be able to make it like red and black.
Yeah. Yeah, we can definitely
No
add some
way.
color to it. Yeah, we can do that. We can add color to it.
I like that color.
Yeah, this is the color I would choose for you too.
I like
This
that
is,
color because that's going to pop.
Yeah, this is called bone. So it's like an off-white cream sort of color, yeah.
Do you want to discuss prices or no? Not really.
No, I don't think so.
No?
Because
Okay.
who knows what's going to happen?
All right, cool,
who knows
cool,
what's going to
cool.
happen in the next couple of years? But
Yeah.
as a generally the hats start at around $400 for a straw hat, and then they
Okay.
go up depending on the material.
So you heard. So reach out to them so you guys accurate pricing to get your hats.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to get one. I'm going to get two.
Yeah.
That's dope, man. I'm telling you that my uncle was trying to give me one. And then
Well, we
'cause
got you. Yeah.
And then he was like, déjate traigo una pues, cabrón. You know,
Yeah.
super. And I'm like, okay, tráigamela. Man, I'm like, ta madre, I have a big ass head. Like, do I have to get is there like sizes?
Yeah, so what you're going to do is we get a measuring tape and we wrap it around your head, and in centimeters find your size. So like, for example, I'm 60 centimeters in my head. Mm-hmm. I would suspect that you're around 60 as well, 61 maybe. And the difference is that your head is a little more oval, but everybody has a different shaped head. So finding that, and then on the final fitting, we'll mold we'll steam up the hat and put it onto your head, and it'll mold perfectly because it'll still be kind of softer. And then from there, it'll start to stiffen.
Wow. Also, it's like a whole process. Mm-hmm. So it's not like just like, hey, let me get it. I'm size 11 and give me a.
No, and that's where the cost. That's why these hats are so much more expensive than your common hat. A lot of hats that you see at stores that are mass produced are made with machines, and you're just basically stamping the mold and then popping them out, and onto the next one. And what we're doing is, with a lot of steam and pressure, molding the hat with a block, and then putting in the creases by hand.
Damn.
Yeah,
And
so
you do that with the fedoras. You do that with everything.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you like wearing most?
This is my favorite hat. It's a Tejana. I grew up in Anaheim, sort of in I would say a little bit more of a Chicano-centric household from my father. He was super into oldie, lo que sea. But we also listened to a lot of banda and corridos, and that was for me the music that moved me more than anything, more than any type of music. It was my motivation. It was my hustle music. And growing up, later on, when I'd go to a boxing gym, I would listen to corridos all the time because that's what we would play. That was playing in the background, or what I would have on my headphones. And then just later on in life, just the music that I listen to at work now. And so now, anytime I'm gonna choose a hat, like to go out, like looking at the couple hats that I don't have many, And I'm always, for whatever reason, choosing the tejana or the sombrero, because that for me is what I'm most comfortable at. It's really it feels good on my head.
Is there a big difference between a tejana and a sombrero?
So
or what is the main difference?
So the way that it was explained to me by a sombrerero was that a tejana was a felt hat in this shape, and a sombrero is a hat that is in this shape but made of straw, the white ones, that you see. But at the end of the day, they're all sombreros. They're all under that umbrella. They're all hats. And there's a lot of discussion between what's what. But in my opinion, I'm going to go with what an older gentleman taught me. And if that's incorrect, then, maybe one day I'll get like the hard fact of what the difference is. But more often than not, when people say sombrero, they're referring to a straw hat in this shape. And a tejana is a felt hat in this shape.
So earlier you said that you grew up like in more Chicano-centric household and stuff like that. What do you think about the Latino movement that's going on now?
It's the most beautiful thing to see that our music is so popular that it's hitting the charts at number one. It's great to see the respect that people like Peso Pluma are getting. Regardless of what you think about the artist in particular, that music was something that I got fucking destroyed about because I would always listen to corridos. I was listening to El As de la Sierra, El Narquillo, Los Originales de San Juan, Los Rasos, when I was 16 years old and, Chicano. And what are you listening to that music for? Put on some fucking Bone Thugs, fool. Like, this was a paisa, they would say. And make fun of me, make fun of the way I dress because I would wear Wranglers and cowboy boots. And, sometimes, and your fashion changes as you evolve. But this was like the through line for me in fashion was sort of like Western vaquero clothes is what I loved the most. And to see the respect now, then no es una burla, it's not something to be made fun of. I remember so many times like saying like we have to do, we have to put like a corrido, like as like for our party, for our music that we would listen to at a party, and like everybody's like, what the fuck, like the record scratches and like everybody's like, what the fuck, this was putting on corridos. But for me, that music is the most motivational music that you could possibly put on. And there's examples of the negativity and things and true stories that people use as examples, of glorification of drugs or whatever it is. But if you really listen to the music, there are some great artists out there that are making some really, really positive music, like Los Dos Carnales. Their songs are about family, about old school values, work ethic, cherishing your mom and respecting your father and continuing the teachings of your father. That's for me what I hear. When I hear the songs, I'm hearing like, get up, let's go to work. Let's get up, let's go to work, and let's stay motivated for our family. Because I started from nothing, but I'm not going to stay here. I'm going to continue growing. Right now, I'm not quite in the position I want to be because I'm still ambitious and I still want more. That's what I hear when I listen to corridos.
That's deep. People don't know this, but I listen to corridos every day.
Hey!
Damn. Well, but I like the old school stuff. I like the Chalino still.
Yeah.
I mean, my playlist on Pandora right now is Roberto Tapia.
Yeah.
So dude, I was just thinking, like, I want to watch Los Nuevos Rebeldes live.
Yeah.
I never have. So I like all that. So I go in. So I might start with rap in the morning.
Yeah.
But on my way home, I ended with my fucking corridos.
Yeah.
So people think like, oh, you listen to Spanish music? Like, yeah, fucker, I'm Mexican.
Yeah.
I listen to it. So
yeah, I did a video on social media about, this is how I start my day. This is what the first thing I do when I walk into the shop is I put on fucking corridos. Why? Because it's motivational, as I mentioned, but it's also like there's no, in my opinion, no music that expresses that hardworking ethic as much as a really, really good corrido. And oftentimes people will look at me, and sometimes like people will see me kind of dressed up like kind of rockero or maybe a little more Chicano or whatever it is fashion wise they see, and they would never suspect that I'm like the biggest, Originales de San Juan fan, and that's like,
that's bad.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Said it, Las de la Sierra, fool.
Yeah.
Damn.
And people are like, this fool just likes corridos because of Peso Pluma. Like, I mean, I like Peso Pluma, but that's not why.
I like what he represents.
Yeah, he's
and I like his music.
Yeah,
people bash him, but it's like, dude, he's us.
He represents. That fool doesn't even know how to sing. That fool sucks. I like Bad Bunny.
I like Peso Pluma. You said something earlier very important. I think the beauty about the Latino movement is that our culture is being embraced. And when I was growing up, it wasn't cool to listen to certain things, to listen to Spanish music. Everybody was into rap. Our food, like, for me, like, I wanted to eat pizza and shit, burgers. And it's like, I grew up in a household where there was home cooked meals every day. But for some reason, I wasn't embracing it because I think going to school, like, oh, dude, like different types of things, right?
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to eat different types of food, maybe because I was trying to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, dude, I have the bombest. My mom makes the bombest Mexican food from scratch.
Yeah.
Now I embrace it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I see that, and kids get to see and embrace the culture as they're young. And it's like, okay.
Pizza's good. But
I love pizza. I still have Pizza Fridays, though.
But pizza's good. But there is nothing better than fresh flour tortillas, beans, and queso cotija. That's it. You don't need anything else.
I still order my burrito al pastor con crema y queso cotija. Boom.
Yeah. That's it.
Fire.
That's all you need.
Fire. So, but yeah, man, I want to thank you for stopping by, bro. I know you're busy,
Thank you.
but you took the time to stop by, and we appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you too.
And I'm looking forward to my hat, but we'll talk about that.
Got you.
For sure.
Got you.
Boom. We're out.